to evolve, to stay interesting, whether it's Dove soap or Coca-Cola or Weezer. Brands need to continuously evolve to stay relevant. In lighting, this can be particularly difficult if you're an independent lighting manufacturer, like, for example, Modular Lighting. Modular started in the early 60s in Europe, moved into the United States market in 1987. They're often credited for inventing the first family of multiple fixtures. They quickly offered a full range of point sources, surface and recessed luminaires as well, including the original plug-in series, which is still offered today and still fairly popular, since they've expanded into the exterior with a strong pedestrian scale and facade lighting product offering as well. Modular has stood that test of time. And with us today is Tony Madonna, Business Development Manager with Modular International. And Tony's going to talk with us about the evolution of Modular's products. You can see the European influence, but a company with this long a history requires fresh input and good relationships in the design community. That's how you stay interesting. Before we jump into that, a few notes. We ask that you enter your questions, if you have them, and we hope you will, into the chat bar below. I'll field those for Tony when we get to the end of his presentation. And to better enhance your view, please select the speaker view from the options on the top right of your Zoom screen. After Tony's presentation and Q&A, we're going to share our final reveal of the Aura Odyssey Phase 2. We're sure you're going to agree that it's a truly phenomenal video. Please stick around with us for the very end to see that as well. And also, we're sorry to disappoint all of our Aura Short groupies. You know who you are. But after today, it is summer break for the Aura Shorts team. We'll recoup and return with hot topics and fresh educational content in the fall. You're going to have to muscle through without us for a couple of months. All right, let's go. Tony Madonna, he brings outstanding communications and experience to his role as Business Development Manager for Modular. His strong background in selling building products fortifies his efforts to refine Modular's products and better serve the specification market. Hello and welcome, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing great, James. Thank you for the introduction.
Yay. Good. Glad to hear it. Not too hot. We'll make it through. Do not forget to hydrate. Had to say it. Tony, with its long history and range of products, I can see, we all know Modular serves the design community, and the design community also provides Modular a lot of inspiration and some specific direction. There's a mutual back and forth there. How does that function? And how does it keep Modular interesting and innovative?
That's a great question, James. So really what kind of makes us stand out and what we have, or I should say with our longevity over the 30, 40 plus years we've been in the industry now, it really comes down to our standard product line giving you the ability to really customize everything in detail. So whether it is utilizing our line of modular multiples for the interior, or if it is something, you know, that most people don't know, is that we get heavily involved in custom lighting and custom lighting solutions for projects. So whether it's for the exterior or for the interior. So if it is something that we can work with a design professional on and really offer those unique services to take something that may be standard or even just from a hand-drawn sketch or a rendering that you might have in your head, you know, or on your desk, you know, just let us know what you're looking for, and that will actually allow us to kind of work with you, process all that information, and present you with a custom lighting solution or a solution to an issue you're having with one of your projects.
To have that exchange is very important to get the full understanding of what it is they want to do. And if you already have something close to it, I'm going to mute myself and set you free.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, James, and thank you all for your time and consideration of Modular International and for OAR inviting us to join their shorts presentation here today. So I'll jump into this, and that will advance. There we go. So as James kind of indicated, we are an international company, but we've really been in the lighting industry for a very long time. And we are globally headquartered here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We source all of our materials throughout our network of manufacturer sources, all in Western PA. So if you were to draw kind of like a circle around the city of Pittsburgh, we're basically smack in the middle. About an hour east or west is where we kind of source all of our materials. All of our standard multiples offerings and custom lighting solutions are listed with ETL, and we do conform to UL 1598 standards. And really having the breadth of agents representing Modular International throughout North America, the ETL listing does transition between the US and Canada. And really when it comes down to just the portfolio of different fixtures, we're going to cover both the interior and the exterior on this particular presentation. And what I want to start out with is just talking about that material itself, the raw material that we utilize to create a lot of these custom lighting fixtures. So whether it's bollards, wall sconces, as James alluded to before, Rainscreen facade lighting inserts, pendants, residential style fixtures. So it doesn't have to be something for the interior to go after or specify for residential use. It could be parking bollards and ground units, different types of wall sconces, you name it. We can pretty much utilize these same materials that we use all the time for these custom solutions. So just talking about stainless steel. So the majority of what we produce for the exterior of the built environment is mostly utilizing 316 marine grade stainless steel. So the different families of stainless steel, to give you a little bit of a background, you have asyntenic, you have ferritic, you duplex, and then from that point, you're kind of getting away from the architectural or the really strengthened materials, and you're going more into kind of like a sharper edge, hardened edge kind of steel that's utilized for like medical tools, knives, cutlery, something along those lines, more or less than something that you'd be welding or anything of that sort. So really focusing on the asyntenic line is the most common that's utilized across the industry and across the world. And then you get into your specific grades of stainless. So when you reference a number or a grade, that's more or less giving you the properties I'm going to show you here. So talking about 316, which is kind of the column directly above me here in the chart, you'll notice that adding different materials to that fabrication of the stainless steel are going to kind of yield you different attributes as far as the finished product goes. So when you start adding materials to increase your corrosion resistance, especially for environments such as like hydrotherapy rooms, coastal environments, product that will be outside or in like natatorium spaces. You have laboratory spaces with all those corrosive chemicals. That increased corrosion resistance is very important. So speaking as a manufacturer, if you are a specifier looking to build and have lighting in those types of environments, we're going to ask those questions as far as what type of environment are we dealing with, what kind of cues are out there, so that we can actually source the proper materials to go into that construction of that lighting fixture. So you adding like carbons, adding nitrogens for weldings and increased strength, giving it more kind of like a sulfur and potassium to give it more kind of machining. So when you start going into more of the potassium and phosphorus, excuse me. But when you start going into developing like ring sets, so on custom fixtures where you have these double gimbal rings, you actually have the housings and cylinders, and you're utilizing stainless steel, that machining quality is very, very important to make sure your threads are actually going to hold up over the years of just making adjustments, sliding different optics in, having that field changeable characteristic is extremely important. So utilizing these different stages of or grades of metal fabrication are extremely important as a manufacturer and to provide that kind of solution for the design community. So really the next couple slides, what we're going to kind of focus on are some of these utilizations of different materials on exterior rated products, and then we'll touch base on a lot of our interior multiples in different conditions as well. So we're going to start off with the Frick Art and Historical Center here in Pittsburgh. We actually produced custom cast bronze exterior wall mount fixtures and matching pendant fixtures for the interior and exterior of this museum. So utilizing bronze in this condition was something that the actual design team was looking for. They wanted that patina because this museum has a 100-year endowment from the Frick family when it was originally built back in the early 1940s. And from that point on, modern solutions have taken place. Different framing projectors for all the artwork on the interior and the exterior have been updated over the years. sort of show that patina and that historical vibrance for this particular museum, it was important to have a solution that reflected that. The Virginia Beach Convention Center, we actually utilized 316 marine grade stainless steel in the construction of these short and tall tri-fin bollards. The short bollards were used to accent the water gardens for the entry and exit points of the convention center. The taller ones were used across the street in the adjacent parking area for pedestrian traffic to and from the convention center, and a little bit of shrubbery and area illumination coming out of the taller bollards as well. These all, I should say, most of our exterior, it is important to note that stainless steel, yes, does have kind of a price tag to it, but if you're ever looking at utilizing exterior products, we can offer you aluminum with a powder coated finish for a body style that'll give you basically a nice, cheaper alteration to it, but also added longevity. So not every project has the budget for stainless steel, but also we can give you that option here to consider moving forward as well. So Kent County Superior Courthouse in Warwick, Rhode Island. This is a particular install where we use 2 different styles of fixtures and multitude different variations. The IRS 1040 bollard, we'll start off with that one. You can see the detail here to my immediate right. You can see that it has 2 different lamps housed in the actual cylindrical body of that bollard. And you have one that shines off the polished metal surface and bounces that light out in front of the bollard for direct area illumination. And then you have a top bulb that'll shine up through a gasketed surface and then into a top cap. And within that top cap, you have 360-degree rotation and adjustment with that metal surface up there to take that light coming up and then bounce and redirect it away from the bollard in any condition that you're looking for. So in this particular project, they actually utilized it to illuminate seating areas that were a little off-center, accent area illumination, a little bit of shrubbery illumination for these exterior courtyards. So basically gave you kind of a nice reduction in glare, but also it's customizable. So you can lower that top cap depending upon your project and redirect that out into certain areas or certain degrees based upon what you're looking to illuminate. The stainless steel bollard to its immediate right, you can see in the top photo, we actually did this in 2 different height conditions on the project. The shorter ones were used all around the grounds of the courthouse. And from that point, they were used for pathway illumination, a little bit of illumination for the garden areas. And then the taller ones you see in the back are about 16 to 18 feet tall. And those were used mainly for the front of the courthouse for general purpose illumination along the facade. Local project for you guys in New York City. So the NFL headquarters, their rooftop terrace. We produced these square stainless steel post lights. And from that point, we also utilized these same fixtures on Penn State University's biomedical and chemical engineering building, where they utilized an aluminum body style with a black matte powder coated finish to match the curtain wall panels that they have in the exterior of the building. So once again, giving you a little bit of a dual purpose, dual material approach for any of our exterior fixtures. Just very similar to our multiples, we do get involved a lot with residential applications. In this particular project, we produce these extruded aluminum parking bollards. You can see that they're kind of a, not a flush mount with the ground, but more or less a surface mount with the concrete base exposed. Obviously, this being a residence, that lawn care service is going to be beating these things up with weed whackers and mowers and stuff. So really that exposed concrete is something that's taking the brunt of the blow as opposed to the finish of the bollard itself. And then also on the same project, we actually produce these concrete pour uplights. And these uplights can be any type of count as far as these 1 watt LEDs go. So your 5, 6, 7, 8, 12s, whatever it may be that you want these to be included with, but also the different Kelvin temperatures, the different spectrum of light that you actually have coming out of these can be sourced in a multitude of different variations, from reds, greens, blues, warm whites to whites. So really what we actually did, it's kind of funny talking about this concrete pour housing with O'Blaney, because the fixture I held up earlier, this particular fixture is actually a 316 stainless steel fixture that we worked with O'Blaney on a couple different projects now, that has a removable inner can. So you can kind of see with the trim that you have 2 different screws here, And this actual can comes out of this housing. So we can ship the housing ahead of time and utilize that replacement inner can to actually secure to the housing now that concrete ceilings are becoming more and more popular, so that the housing can be fitted in there. You pop in the can when everything's ready to go. It gives you adjustment with the LED modules inside there, so we can do different styles of bevels, we can do different trims, we can do a multitude of different things here with these particular fixtures. And a lot of these really went through the rigors and were put on a bunch of different projects. So kind of a nice little representation of that modification from a standard that you're seeing here on the screen. The directional arrow uplight, that was used in a W hotel in Aspen, Colorado. This was actually tied into the emergency lighting system on the rooftop terrace. So it aided in the evacuation, that if something were to happen, these would illuminate and direct people off the actual rooftop and back into the evacuation route for the hotel. Sorry, that chat popped up and I couldn't advance the slide. Talking about the wall sconces on this particular project for City Center in Washington, D.C. We actually produced 3 different styles of these wall sconces. So we only show the scalloped here in this particular project, but we actually did rectangular, we did vertical, integrated rectangular, and then these scalloped ones that you're seeing here. And all of these were wired for 3 circuits. So right above my head, the light bulb going off, that is the first circuit running 277 volt for entertainment lighting. And then you have the unilluminated skirt bulbs right above my head as well, that are 277 volt on the second circuit. And then right to my immediate left there, you can kind of see that exterior rated GFI receptacle on the underside of every one of these wall sconces. So we were asked to tie in these eye bolts that you see there that are supporting the aircraft cable. And each individual sconce is able to power these Edison bulbs and different art exhibits that they hang from the aircraft cable. And these sconces are tied directly into the Rainscreen facade that is on this mixed-use building complex here in Washington, D.C. We also do get involved with Rainscreen facade lighting. So what James kind of hinted at early on in his intro. So really, when we kind of worked on this project with Bloomingdale's in Glendale, California, they approached us with the initial design for the Rainscreen, this being a drained back ventilated Rainscreen system utilizing 2x2 metal panels. We were able to work with them and engineer these low iron acid etched tempered glass IG units that are completely sealed around with a basic adhesive that goes into making these IG units in the architectural industry. And then inside there, you have a side lit LED panel, and then everything is completely framed around that and have a solid 316 marine grade stainless steel frame and backplate to it with that wiring compartment. And what we were able to do is work with the team to leave a large enough gap in between the actual panels and the IG units, so that if you have to replace one of the IG units, you can go in there with an angle grinder and just cut out the clips that you see on the drawing behind me. And from that point, you just pop in a new unit. You don't have to disassemble any of the Rainscreen system to get in there to replace one of the lighting units. So we've worked with our reps across North America on a bunch of different projects, utilizing more rectangular shapes, custom shaped Rainscreen inserts, more linear style now. It's becoming very, very popular. So that's something we obviously can engineer and work with you on. We do get involved with a lot of wall washing, halo lighting for pendant fixtures on the interior, and then also cove lighting. So we also offer that for the exterior. So if you're working out with a lot of wall washing or different projects for retaining walls or accent illumination for pathways, whatever it may be that you're working on here, we have linear, wet rated and exterior rated products that we can provide those solutions for as well. Point Park University was a good representation of working from a hand-drawn sketch. So that traditional kind of barroom napkin, you know, sitting at your desk making a doodle of what you're kind of envisioning before you make that 3D rendering. Point Park actually purchased this student apartment building on their downtown campus. And from that point, their team couldn't really agree on a initial design. So we produced a series of drawings that really showcased their designs and presented that to them over the course of the process. And we settled on these matching wall sconces and pendant fixtures, also made from that same 316 marine grade stainless steel. So it really accents the modern sense that they had for the interior of the building. And then also outside of these archways, there's a bunch of different artwork, sculptures, bistro sets, kind of a communal gathering space for the apartment building. So it really tied in the interior and the exterior of the project. Lastly, for the outdoor is kind of a nice little retrofit install with a 100-plus-year hotel here in Pittsburgh called the Renaissance Hotel. We were able to utilize the canopy structure to engineer out lengths of our trimless linear fixtures for the interior or trough fixtures, and utilize our MR16 size LED modules to give more of a modern upgrade to their historic marquee. So that was kind of a nice little retrofit once we were able to kind of engineer everything together. So talking about the multiple, so this is really what Modular has been known for over the years, and this is what we still produce. And really, we offer the traditional trimless and trim style, new work and retrofit style housing. We offer, obviously, our LED modules. We still offer LED direct replacement lamps and also legacy lamps for all of our interior multiples fixtures. We'll talk a little bit more about the customization and some of these installs that we have coming up here. But it's important to know you have 360 degrees of adjustability with the double gimbal ring, and then also 45 degrees of adjustability with those LED modules with really any type of configuration. So the converter slide that you see there in the middle, that is actually a new product, and we hope to release that in the next couple months to a Blaney Rinker and really give you guys kind of a nice presentation here to showcase that to the architectural industry. So give you some installs. So utilizing 316 marine grade stainless steel, like I said, is mostly for the exterior, but we also do it a lot for the interior. So university works for hydrotherapy rooms and sport complexes, laboratories, natatoriums. We've done quite a bit of that with the higher education building sector. And the University of Delaware, you see there on the left, their new Whitney Athletic Center is a prime example of that, where we utilize airtight housings with 316 marine grade stainless steel housing body, trim plate, and then also the lens assembly is a tempered glass sealed lens that goes over top of that. So we're actually working with 4 different universities right now, doing 3 lights, 2 lights, and 1 light fixtures throughout the South right now on different university projects for kind of the same environment. Uber Advanced Technology Center there on the right. So we utilize 3 lights, 4 lights, and our linear trimless fixtures here throughout their retail space, or not retail space, their open concept office meeting rooms and spaces throughout their new Advanced Technology Center here in Pittsburgh as well. So Apertures, the fixture here right to my immediate left, I'll move so you can see the tile. What you're actually looking at with this particular fixture is that you have a flame retardant MDF ceiling panel, which is what you're seeing there attached to a new work style housing. So this particular fixture in itself is going to give you accessibility to pop this thing into drywall ceilings, suspended grid ceilings, wood ceiling applications as well. But really you have a multitude of different options when it comes to this panel. You can utilize, going out on the camera, you can utilize different bevels, you can utilize different shapes for the apertures, ranging from squares to circular to more or less linear open profiles for these. You can do custom spacing with them as well. So there's a lot of different stuff you can do with aperture fixtures, and utilizing pull down yokes and added adjustability to keep the LED modules and different lamping elements that you're looking for inside, not to break the ceiling plane. You can do that, or you can have it descend below for that added horizontal adjustment. And then really from that point, you can do, as I said, custom spacing. So this particular project, you can see that we did 4 lights, and you can see that they're grouped out into groupings of 2. We did 3 lights and 2 lights in kind of a similar instance to aid in the overall floor plan and location of their shelving units that they were looking at for this install in Paris, France. Grid is utilized in Poro's restaurant here on the right. This actually has a surface mount fixture that'll give you kind of a fixed canopy, and then also a hinged arm that comes up with your actual 1 through 4 grid configuration, or 4 grid housing in a square configuration. And then really with this particular install, we actually produced 7 different custom lighting fixtures for this project, ranging from wood grain finished solid surface canopies for the grid pendant fixtures you see there, wood grain finished wall sconces for the actual stone columns for the waitressing stations, providing uplighting and downlighting, 1 light cylindrical downlights above each table, and then also custom 2-inch round millwork fixtures for the built-in shelving units when they're coming up off the street level to the entry point of the restaurant. So beautiful project, a lot of good photos of that on our website. You can take a look at it at a later time. Surface, this actually gives you 2 different body styles. You can see that it's a solid body style that's featured here in Zegnon Beverly Hills. And then you also have a stainless steel layered fixture here that you can see right behind me. This will actually give you a very, very nice looking profile. The camera will allow me to show that to the world. So what you actually have here, that's not going to work, is basically a laser cut stainless steel layered configuration that's built up, and that houses any of our LED modules that come into there. Becoming very, very popular for residential applications. A lot of people, we've had a lot of requests here, obviously due to quarantine, where they're trying to match and do a little bit of home renovation. It's something that really ties into a lot of stainless steel appliances that you have in your home, but also for hospitality. We have a lot of requests for either of these body styles to be used in a cable mount condition. Boomerang to the right there, another popular one for residential, but we're also finishing up an international art museum out in San Diego. It's utilizing about 60 of these fixtures in different conditions and different heights, utilizing extension arms and different accessories here for that. So we hope to have some very beautiful photographs to show you guys here in a little bit on those. And then just showcasing a traditional trimlet or trimmed trough installation, utilizing our linear fixtures on the right at BNY Mellon Client Services Building, where you have that open aperture. We can actually utilize different trades in our linear trim troughs as well. So utilizing a custom faceplate here for the Steelers NFL Stadium on our immediate left. What that actually includes is that you have sections of the linear trough that house the HVAC system, recessed sprinkler system, and also the stadium speakers, along with 2 different styles of LED lighting per section. So that way you can remove the actual faceplate and have maintenance to either of those systems. Or if you're looking for a more integrated approach where it's a solid faceplate, it's cleaner looking, we can do that as well, depending upon what type of stylizations and companies you're working with for those particular elements. So that's basically who we are. We do everything. We do the interior with the multiples. You have full customization to rip these things apart, reconfigure them, do what you want to do with them to make it your own specific project that much more unique. And then also that custom engineering for the exterior as well. So more than happy to open it up to questions, and thank you guys again for your time and consideration.
As you know, it takes a lot for a, you heard it here first, just go to My Modular and tell them exactly what you want. Tony, thank you. So there's a few questions in the queue, starting with lead times, standard products, and then obviously based on the complexity, the customs vary, but can you speak to those?
So yeah, standard lead times are 4 to 6 weeks for all of our standard products. So ranging from the interior multiples and also obviously factoring in legacy lamps, direct replacement lamps, all of that is included within the 4 to 6 week lead time. If it is something that's a little bit more custom, where we're doing different types of spacings, we're doing different types of configurations, or if it is something from scratch, we tend to be around 6 to 8 weeks or 6 to 10 weeks, depending upon complexity.
Gotcha. And regarding dimming protocols, are there any do's or don'ts that we would need to know about, or controls partners that you really prefer to work with or don't?
So currently dimming, you're looking at phase or 0 to 10 volt dimming. We are working on different LED modules that will offer color tuning and dim to warm technologies, and those should be coming here within the next, I'd say, couple months. And then from that point on, as far as driver manufacturers and partnerships, Lutron, Hatch are some of the companies we work with a lot. And then from that point on, if there's any particular custom protocols that you're really working with or trying to specify a different manufacturer, let us know, obviously, and we can source those accordingly.
Gotcha. Let's talk a moment about the customs and what would be required if we had an idea for a project, we wanted to have some custom products and have you consider it. What would you need from us to get started on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Really what we look for could be anything. It could be, as I said before, at the Point Park project, a hand-drawn sketch, a basic rendering of kind of what your initial building concept is going to look like. It could be a CAD drawing. It could be, it could be anything. It could be, you coloring on a placemat at lunch, is drawing something out, doodling at your desk, whatever it may be. Submit it. We'll run through a drawing for you, and we'll try to get something back to you within 24 hours. And we'll also try to give you kind of a budgetary price on the front end of that, so that you know kind of how that's really going to fit within the scope of your design.
And I guess also in that sort of exploratory process, if you had a standard that could be modified to answer the same application, it would obviously make sense probably to be faster and less expensive. You guys would explore that as well. Makes
No,
sense,
of course.
right?
Yeah. I mean, whatever you guys can dream up and whatever you want to manipulate and make it your own, that's our strength. That's what we do every day, in and out.
Got it. Just one or two more here that I have. Regarding the steel sconces for DC or also the Point Park fixtures, were you required to provide UL listings, one, on those products, and two, IES files for the designer to understand performance?
Yeah, so when it comes to those two examples, they were done a handful of years ago, so we weren't asked to do a UL listing. If it is a needed facet to have a UL listing, we can do that, but we do provide the ETL listing for all of our standard and custom products. And then as far as the IES files, we have IES files available for all of our LED modules on the fixture page on our website. You can take a look at that and download everything that comes with your photometric data as well. So that's all supported. If you need additional Kelvin temperatures, if you need additional information regarding CRI, it's all there for you. But we can source a multitude of different Kelvin temperatures, and I know that varies per project and per use. So let us know what you're thinking.
Okay, well, Tony, thank you very much for sharing the modular story and the advice on getting the custom products that you guys are able to help with. I have to say, it really seems that modular is very much a part of lighting Americana, as the designs are solution-based. And to our viewers, if anyone is interested in discussing specific projects, or you would like a sample or an in-person presentation, we can do that too. And boy, would we like to. Just let us know your comfort level. You want fixtures dropped off, we drop them off for you to look at, and then we could go over them with you virtually if you would like to do that way. We're open to it. So with that, Tony, thanks. We're going to depart now and head over to the Aura Odyssey Phase 2 reveal. If you're not clear about exactly what, why, or how what you're going to see has happened, don't fret. On our website, there's the Odyssey Challenge tab, and that would bring you up to speed. It is extremely cool, and you're going to see now why I'm saying we are so pleased to share this last exciting reveal with you for the Lumen Odyssey Challenge, Phase 2. Carl, please let it roll.
Your crew, music and theater. Your partner, Radiant Architectural Lighting. Why Radiant? Radiant Lighting is a leader in precision optical solutions that illustrate the drama in the stories we want to share and assist in delivering visual poetry. These flexible systems will allow you to push the boundaries.
What influenced your design?
Well, we were inspired by the Mars landing that happened recently that was on our mind, and then obviously your challenge.
Did you guys have fun doing it?
It was more challenging than I expected. We were very demanding of what we wanted to achieve, and even fell short on our aspirations, but we had a fun time doing it.
And we had a fun time watching it. A big shout out to Luminarch and their team, Attila and Nelson. Thanks for joining us on that. And friends and colleagues, that completes our short visit for this hour. And it's officially summer's open for the O'Blaney Rinker ORA Shorts team. We really would like your feedback for when we reapproach the fall. If you have suggestions or a topic or a particular application, if there's one of our manufacturer partners you'd like to see more, we want to hear from you. Please just email us at questions@orashorts.com. Of course, you're welcome to call me or your spec rep at any time inspiration strikes. I also at this point would like to give a big shout out to Jennifer Mason and Carl Jenkins for their efforts, which put the zip in ORA Shorts. Smile, I gotta tell you, these people make it work for me. And I am very, 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 very thankful for that. Thank you two so much. You rock it. Remember, even though ORA Shorts will be off for the summer, our complete library is available to you on YouTube. You can refer back to that anytime you want. Pinterest page is also kept fresh with images from our manufacturing partners as well. So if you're looking for something in particular, just something to get the creative juices flowing, please check us out there as well. Thanks for your support this season. Have a super groovalistic post-defunction type of a summer. And think about October. Think about the 7th and think about the Intrepid. Ooh, details to follow. Have a great summer. We will see you then. Thanks for joining us. Tony, thanks a lot. Until then, adios.